Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
Incredible. That's all I can say. Incredible. Right there, Brains. The amazingly talented Heidi Alina from Colorado. She's not only a classical pianist, she's a mother of four, and she is one of America's leading percussionists and drummers. I'm so glad to have her here. For us, this is such an honor. Thank you so much for playing for us. During this time, we needed some stimulation. I'm looking so forward to this conversation. Welcome to On the Edge, the place
Well, thank
where the
you.
conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, talented, and the responses are never dull. Hi, Heidi.
Hello, April. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
I'm so grateful to have you. I want to educate people on classical music because they don't know, but we're about to take them there. So tell me a little bit about the piece that you opened with.
Yeah, so this piece is a Chopin impromptu, and the impromptus, as you might guess from the name, really were improvisatory. So this piece probably started out as just an improvisation by Chopin, and so yeah, I think there's an element to this that's just kind of fun and. Yeah, so Chopin wrote this piece just 1 year after he met George Sand, who he had a 10-year relationship with. And if you don't know who George Sand is, she was a very famous author and possibly maybe the first very well-known trans person. At any rate, she dabbled in both men and women, I think, and she just became completely enamored with Chopin. And at first, he wasn't interested, but she just really pursued him, and they ended up having a so
Best of both
it
worlds.
was a pretty happy time in his life, just when he wrote this piece. So.
So let's talk a little bit about your life and the happiness that you bring to others. You are an amazing woman. You were a mother of three, under three. You had twins and a little baby. Tell us about that time in your life.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
As
so
much, as much as you want to share. I get it.
well, that was a time in my life that I was really struggling. I suffered from depression, for some pretty severe depression, for about 15 years during that time when my kids were young. And yeah, single mom, three under three with twins. It's pretty rough, living on under the poverty level. I was working part-time with what most people would consider a good job. Had flexible hours. It was very important to me to be there for my kids, so I worked part-time so that I could be there in the mornings for them and in the afternoons when they came home from school. So I had a wonderful part-time job, but there was something lacking. I was not fulfilling my purpose. And so when it came to a point where I was close to suicide, and this is really first time I'm kind of sharing this publicly, but I had to follow my intuition, and it was the hardest decision of my life to leave my kids. They moved in with their dad at that point. I think that my girls were 10 or 11 at that time. And I moved to Albuquerque, where I had a wonderful, wonderful community. And of course, stayed in touch with the kids as much as I could, but I never wanted that kind of separation where I had summers with the kids and at any rate, it all worked out, and that following my intuition was really um, the start of my happiness, and has led me to everything else that's
Let
that's
me let
happening.
me ask you a question, and thank you so much for sharing that. You didn't have to do that because there's a stigma with women that
Mhm.
they have to be there. That it's not okay to give the children to the father, and that's so wrong because fathers can do it
I
and they
feel,
have equal, if not more so, responsibility. And there is no shame
yes, I felt
associated with that. There's no embarrassment associated with that. So, brains, if you're out there and you need to give the kids to their dad, to get yourself together so that you are whole and that you're with them, there's value, I say bravo, encore.
It's so important to have yourself. If you don't have yourself, you don't have anything, and you can't be there for your kids. So my kids now are wonderful, and I think it was a great time that they got more time with their dad, and that was wonderful. And he's a great dad. And now I have one is an astrophysicist, one is studying to be a nurse practitioner, getting her master's. My youngest is working to be a professional dancer. She's a wonderful, wonderful tap dancer. And my son, who's the oldest, is working to be a computer programmer. So they're all just doing wonderfully.
Now, you may have been lost in depression and separated from your children, but you were always immersed in the music. Where did your musical talent come from, and how did you pick, of all things, classical music on the piano and drumming on the percussion side?
That's a crazy story. Yeah. So when I was 3 years old, I was just bugging my dad to teach me something real on the piano. I did not want to mess around. I was very serious. I just wasn't going to sit down and play any old thing. I really wanted to play something that sounded good. So he taught me the jazz tune Sunny, which to this day is really one of my favorite jazz standards. So he taught me that, and he and my mom found me a wonderful piano teacher. And I'll tell you a little bit about her, Eloise Ristad. She wrote a book called A Soprano on Her Head, Right Side Up Reflections on Life and Other Performances. So if that gives you a little bit of an idea of how creative a person she was.
Wow.
She really, studying with her led me to the drums, because we used to do a lot of improvisation, group improvisation, which really helped me to be sensitive, learn how to be sensitive to energy in a group, which you have to have if you are an African drummer. So that really led me to that path. But until about 2 years ago, I had no idea that I would be returning to performing piano. I mean, this has been for me dormant for 30 years. I've been keeping it to myself.
Wow, 30 years?
30 years. I just came back to performing. After I graduated piano performance at CU in 1990, I just, life happened, and all my kids and all these things happened. And I got pulled into the African drumming. And how that happened was I got invited to a Roomba party. And I went to this Roomba party. I walked in the door. I was 30 years old. I walked in the door and I just knew immediately, this is my life. They were playing these three drums, two-sided drums, three drums that play together. They're called bata drums. And the intricacy, the beauty of that rhythm and melody, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like classical music on drums. And I just fell in love immediately, and it was so passionate, and it's so primal and grounding. This kind of just been one of my passions. I'm always been very interested in indigenous cultures and nature, and it's just kind of went right along. And then I started studying, and shortly after that, I had a memory that I had said to myself when I was in about third grade, someday I'm going to be a drummer. And I really had no idea like what kind of a drummer. I didn't think it was going to be like a regular like trap set drummer. But I knew at the time that I wasn't going to do it right then, because I was so serious about piano. I was doing competitions and everything. I just somehow knew that I couldn't do both at the same time, because I was going to be real serious. So that's how I got into the African drumming.
Well, that's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about classical music. because I challenged I love classical music. So I asked Mr. Magnificent, I said, let's make love to classical music. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, brothers don't make love to classical music. They make love to Smokey Robinson and the Isley Brothers. They're not trying to do that. He said, I don't know if I can keep up with the pitch and the tone. I started laughing. So let's talk about pitch and tone because people don't
Well,
think
let
about.
me tell you,
Go ahead.
let me tell you a fun story about classical music. So my twins, when they were little, they were terrified of the car wash, going through the car wash. And one day I was taking my car to the car wash, and my stepmom had given me a recording of the soundtrack to one of these dinosaur movies. I can't remember. It was like kind of a documentary, or I don't know, but it had wonderful, wonderful classical music. And this particular piece that was on was kind of a big orchestra thing. We were like serious and exciting, and so I start going into the car wash, and the music is going, and I just turned the music up, and all of a sudden, the music was going with the car wash, and it was like, oh, the big, what do you call those?
The where the soap comes out, soap dispensers and the brushes.
The brushes. So the brushes are going along the side of the car, and it's like, and the music is just and the kids are just like all of a sudden having fun.
Oh
And
wow.
it got them over being afraid of the car wash. So, I mean, classical music is amazing. It just really it sets your mood so well. Different composers have different moods. I feel like Chopin is all about feelings,
Mm.
and he moved away from his home in Poland. He went for an educational visit when he was 20. He went to Vienna for an educational stay, and right after he left, about 4 weeks after he left, the Revolutionary War broke out in Poland, and he was never able to return home. So I think that really contributed a lot to the music that he wrote, that he really was feeling a lot of homesickness, and it just was a tumultuous time. And so his music being so intense, sometimes very introverted, sometimes very passionate, just all range of emotions. And so when you listen to that music, it kind of permeates your cells. And as a matter of fact, I've created a program called Feel and Heal Under the Piano.
Wow.
And I've been told actually by quite a number of people who grew up with mothers or fathers that played piano, that they loved as a child to go and lay underneath the piano. And this is a thing. And especially with classical music, when you're there underneath the piano, it's just these beautiful vibrations are permeating your cells, and it's very healing. It enhances your feelings. And when we feel our feelings, we're able to process things and feel our desires and know what we
And
want.
that's so wonderful. I think two of my favorite composers are Bach and Beethoven. I love
Mm-hmm.
Beethoven. It's really a symphony. I love Yo-Yo Ma. I love to listen to him play also. But
One,
people don't understand classical music because they don't think that it makes sense. They don't understand the rhythms. They don't understand the peaks and the valleys. They don't understand the tones. It's a conversation. It's like I could never really connect with what is that jazz artist's name? My father used to love. Oh, what is his name? I can't think of it right now. Oh, come on.
Miles
Played
Davis.
not Miles Davis. The other one he played was it I don't think it was Miles Davis, but I'll think of it before.
Well,
It was
he,
very
he got kind of very contemporary.
right. It was very different, and really, contemporary jazz is not the same as the
Classical jazz.
classical
Yeah,
jazz.
no, it's not something that you really want to just sit down and listen to.
The
It's kind
earliest
of
monk,
not.
monk.
Oh, yes, right.
What
Yeah,
in the
he's
world was
really.
what was he playing? I couldn't get it. When my father would turn that on, I was like, could you hurry up and get through this album? Okay. That was not my favorite. I couldn't figure out, and he was a genius. People loved him. But then you look at people like that
Yeah.
played the guitar, like Jimi Hendrix. It didn't make sense at
Mm,
first until you immerse yourself. And that's what I saw you do. I saw you close your
mm.
eyes. I saw it just kind of go in every aura and come out through your fingers. There's a lot of discipline when it comes to playing the piano. So there's hours of
Yes,
work and memorization. You memorize that piece. You didn't have to look at it. How does that work? How does
yes.
that connect with the brain?
Well, some people are better at reading music. Some people, it's kind of, it seems like it's one or the other. Either you're good at memorizing or you're good at reading music. I was always a memorizer. I love to memorize because once I have it in under my fingers, then I can feel it. I can just be much more present with the music. And it's like you just go into the music and you're just there. And if you like your brain comes in sometimes at a moment, it's almost a constant, it's a practice. It's a meditational practice, really, to stay present in the music as you're playing. Because if you let your brain come in and think too much, then you'll start doubting, or, oh gosh, do I remember this part coming up? Or, so it's that being really present in the music, and I just love that. What happens really is that you connect with the heart and soul of the composer, which is incredible if you think about it. And then that's what the listeners are also getting. They're not only connecting with the composer, but they're connecting with me as well, and my feelings that I'm expressing through. I mean, music is it's the language of the soul.
Now, drumming is a lot different because it's the bass, it's the engine, it's the machine that gets things going. What
Well,
like you say, you're connecting with the composer on classical music, but you're connecting with the chakras. I feel more so, and the
yes,
emotion of individuals when it comes to drumming. Would you agree?
yes, I would agree. Definitely, drumming is very healing, and it activates alignment of the chakras and all kinds of healing. And especially, there are certain rhythms that are designed for certain things, and these are ancient um, rhythms that have been passed down for generations. So, they mean something. And
Now,
there's a connection, but the same thing there, the cool thing is that, again, it's that connection. You're so connected. And the interesting thing about the African drumming is when you're playing with a group, and especially these traditional African rhythms, the the music is so rhythmically precise. You have no idea how, like, okay, say there's 5 players. If one player just slightly off, it'll ruin the whole thing. So you have
uh,
to be just completely tuned in. You're extremely connected to everyone that you're playing with, and your rhythm has to be great. But
well,
yeah,
drumming, that's what African slaves did to communicate. You know,
yes,
it is a language.
it is a language.
It is definitely a language, and it is a form of communication which causes, a call and a response. So I
Yes.
want to share with my brains a second piece. Tell us a little bit about the next piece you're going to play for us.
Yeah, so the next piece I thought was very appropriate for this time of the year, as we're still, what is it, the last day of Hanukkah today? Or
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, so I thought this piece was very appropriate because this is a piece, let me just get notes here. This was a piece that really saved actually two Jewish people's lives during the Holocaust. So the first person was Władysław Spielman, And he was a famous pianist on the Polish radio. And he played this particular piece, the last live broadcast that they did on September 23rd, 1939. And that was when Warsaw was besieged by the German army.
Mm.
So, and then he played it again for a German army officer who had discovered him where he was hiding out. And that German officer ended up saving his life because he just valued the music so much. So that relationship was actually depicted in the 2002 movie, The Pianist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then the other person was Holocaust survivor Natalia Karp, and she played this nocturne for the commandant at the concentration camp where she was being held, and he was so impressed by her rendition that he ended up sparing her life. So it's a beautiful,
So
beautiful.
music is a lifesaver in so many ways.
Yes.
So many ways. People really
Yes.
appreciate music. It's something about that gift. You know,
It touches,
like the words "I love you" or like a kiss or a hug. Music,
yeah.
makes you lose control.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
looking forward to hearing it.
This is a magical piece, and after my piano teacher died in a tragic accident, I played this at her funeral as well. So it's something special to me.
Well, we want to enjoy it. Brains, more from Heidi Alina. You are one talented woman. Yes, you are. Thank you so much for that. I felt the passion. I felt the emotion. I was right there with you. I'm sorry for your loss. But she gave you the gift of music and training. Do you teach music to students?
I used to. I actually been teaching African drumming for the past 25 years or so. And I used to teach piano until I had my twins. But I really found that I rather liked coaching adults. But I love teaching the African drumming. I've just moved away since I moved from Albuquerque back to Boulder, which is my hometown. I haven't been teaching. I've been just kind of focusing on other things and getting my piano back. So
Well, I'm so glad that you got it back. People forget too the footwork that's involved in uh, playing the piano. You know, they just see the upper portion of it, but they don't realize that you are using, you know, all your limbs. Tell me a little bit about the keys on, because I never understood the keys that you're playing, your foot pedaling on the bottom of a piano. Tell me a little bit about that.
okay. Uh,
We probably can't
well, let's
see
see.
it, but we can advance. We can. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
the
there
three
you go.
pedals.
So there's three pedals there.
So this one here causes the note. It's called the sustain pedal. So that holds the note. This one in the middle is sostenuto. So what happens if you you put a bunch of keys down, and then I'm going to put that pedal down. And what that does is hold the hammers up on the inside. I don't know, I can't really show you that, but it holds the hammers up. So then the sound echoes or rings afterwards. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So
And the left is a soft pedal, so it changes the sound. So if I play here, yeah,
wow. So there's a lot to learn. So no wonder why kids get frustrated and say, I don't want to play, I don't want to practice the piano. But it is a beautiful, amazing instrument. And so many people I know, you know, they say if you can play the piano, you can pretty much play anything.
yeah, that's kind of true. So I wanted to tell you, so what happened after, this, like I was saying 2 years ago, I really had no idea that I would come back to piano performance. I was performing drums, but not piano. I really had just given up on that altogether. I just thought, I'm just never going to do anything with this talent. I didn't know what I could do with it. And then I was doing some really powerful work called Art of Feminine Presence and really increasing my presence within myself and doing more regular meditation. And some regrets really started to surface. And those regrets I found were really just very strong desires that I wasn't paying attention to. And so the first thing that happened was I came across this YouTube video of a guy in New York. His name is, what is his name? Colin Huggins. And what he does is he lives in an apartment off of Washington Park, and he's figured out a way to a rig where he can move his own grand piano. So he wheels this thing into the elevator, takes it down, wheels it out into Washington Park
Wow.
every day to play for people in the park. But the unique thing that he does is he lets people lay under the piano while he plays. And so when I saw that and I saw people being moved to tears, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. So that's what sparked my idea for Feel and Heal Under the Piano. And I'm launching that business. I'm getting a portable, more of a portable piano that I'm going to start taking on the road. But the second thing that happened was that I realized that there was a teacher that I really had my whole life just wanted to spend more time studying with. And it occurred to me that she's only 2.5 hours away. And so I was like, why am I not doing this? This is something I've always wanted to do. And so this realization that it's never too late. So I hope that if you're out there and you have a passion, just know that if you've given up, it's not too late. I've done it. I'm working
Well,
with this woman on a regular basis now. Her name is Jo. She's actually my great aunt. Her name is Jo Boatwright, and she was uh, she studied and was the assistant to Lily Krauss, who was a very famous concert pianist and just amazing technique. And so the technique that Jo teaches, it just really, really helps me to, she's all about how do you make this easy and natural and stay relaxed the whole time you're playing. So it's really, really helping me a lot. And I feel like, Chopin, my favorite composer, he was the same when he taught his students. His students say that he just made it extremely easy. Things that you would think are just so incredibly difficult,
right, right.
just make it so easy. So I think that's what the technique is all about, is really trying to work with your body. How can you move your fingers in a way that's not causing any tension at all, and keep your body relaxed, and just make it easy. And
because it's a physical discipline too, as we can see. Again, you're using all of your dexterities. Well, you are incredible. Please tell my brains here on the edge how they can get more of you, through your music and through your programs.
yeah, so please just send me an email at let's see, piano at HeidiAlina.life. That's Heidi Alina spelled like this. It's my little logo.
I love it. I love it. It is cute.
So yeah, just send me an email, and actually, if you send me an email, I will send you a free MP3 recording of the Chopin Impromptu, and I'll send you some other information about upcoming events with me.
Brains, take advantage of it and introduce your kids to something outside of cussing and bebopping and booty shaking. Okay, this makes them smart. It helps them with their mathematics. Something about classical music that engages the brain. It really, when I do my meditation, sometimes I don't necessarily go to singing bowls. Sometimes I go to classical music because I want that change. I want that frequency. And then other times I want to shake
It's so
the drum, and I get down with some drums. And I'm so glad that you are so layered and so textured and healed, that you are able to share your gift with the world and enjoy it and find your place. Because as she said, Brains, I tell you that on the edge all the time. It's never too late. Okay? You don't have to wait till tomorrow. Yesterday is gone. You can start right now. Thank you so much, Heidi Alina, for being here on the edge. We value you and appreciate you, because I want to talk to you a little bit more too the next time that you come back on the edge, and have your daughter talk about her dance, because it looks like she's a part of an amazing dance troupe. And
yeah.
I honor you, my sister. Thank you. I value you. I love you, here on the edge.
Thank you.